Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. My name is Danielle and today I am bringing y'all 5 more unique ways to get in that quality time with God. Apparently y'all were really feeling the first video, so I was like, you know what, why not bring it back for a second round? And by the way, if you have not checked out that first video, I will make sure that I link it in the cards as well as post it in the description box below. But without further ado, let's get right into the video. The first thing I would recommend is to do a topical study with a faith-based book and or workbook. So I found a quote that kind of perfectly describes to y'all why you should do this, and I feel like it's just easier for me to read it first, so I'm gonna go ahead and read it for you guys. Reading Christian books is a means in which we both maintain and initiate personal growth. Reading not only enables us to know the Word of God better, but we also grow our ability to honor and respect Him in different areas of our lives. In fact, you can identify the area of weakness and identify books that will help you strengthen your weakness. As this quote so eloquently put it, the reason that I personally love reading Christian, theological, faith-based books, whatever you want to call it, is because I feel like they help me to better understand God's heart on a specific matter, and then in turn I can take whatever that is that I've learned and apply it in a specific area of my life so that I can grow to look more like Him, which is, you know, the goal at the end of the day. Poor Hemplo. Before I started this YouTube channel, I came across this book called Called to Create by Raynor. And the reason that I decided to read this book is because, some of you don't know this, but this ain't my first YouTube rodeo, okay? So I actually did have a previous YouTube channel with one of my friends, and we decided to stop the channel for a couple of different reasons, but something that God really revealed to me about myself and my own heart was that I began to idolize things like views, subscribers, what I thought other people were thinking about us and our channel over actually the assignment that He called us to do. To make a long story short, after we ended that channel, I still kind of felt like God was calling me to be on the YouTube platform, but I knew that I had to come correct, okay? I knew that I could not hop onto this YouTube platform and do the same thing over and over again, or I was just gonna end up with the same results. Honestly, I don't know how I stumbled across this book. I just know that one day I found it and I decided to read it. And my friend, let me tell you, this was life-changing for me because it really gave me a biblical perspective on not only work, but entrepreneurship and really how to honor God with the things that I create, including videos that I put on the YouTube platform. And ever since then, I have completely shifted my idea of success. Like, no longer do I associate success with numbers, whether it be how many likes I have, how many views I have, how many comments I have, even how much money is in my bank account. To me, success is really just being faithful and obedient to God and doing what it is that He asked me to do. And when I do that, I believe that I'm going to have all the peace, all the joy, okay, all the satisfaction. Don't let me start preaching in here, church. Do you hear what I'm saying? All that I picked up from reading the book. So as I bring this sermon to a close, congregation, I just want to leave you with one thought, and that is, you may not struggle with the same thing as me, right? But I beseech you, my friend, ask God to show you an area of your life that needs a little spruce, you know, that's maybe not perfect, that could use some extra work. And then, you know, pray about it and ask Him maybe even to show you a book that you could read, whether it be relationship, finances, your prayer life, even just getting yourself in the habit of reading the Bible. I promise you, you can probably find a book out there that's going to be able to help you grow in that specific area of your life. By the way, if you are someone that knows that, you know, relationships is something that you need to work on right now and you want a book to help you in that area, please hit me up because I have a bunch of copies of the Relationship Goals book and workbook by Michael Todd of Transformation Church. I actually bought the books to give away, but then never really ended up giving them away. So they've just been sitting in my pantry for like over a year now. So if you are interested, please just like shoot me a quick DM or something like that and we can work something out because I don't want them anymore. The second thing I would recommend is actually pretty similar to the first, but you know, it just takes it up a notch, and that is to form a Christian book club or Bible study group. This is something that's actually fairly simple to do. All you have to do, number one, grab some friends. If you don't have any friends, maybe consider joining a small group at your church. Number two, pick something to read. It can be a book of the Bible, it can be a Christian book, it can even be a Bible plan or devotional plan on like the Bible app or something. Number three, you just want to make sure that you choose a consistent time and place. So these days, that can be as easy as hopping on a Zoom or a FaceTime, or you can decide to do the old-fashioned way and meet in person as well. Isn't that crazy? I just said meeting in person is old-fashioned. What times we're in. The reason why I love adding friends to the mix is because one, who doesn't love to hang out with their friends, right? You just get to enjoy your time and have some fun together, but also because it just adds another layer of perspective. So not only are you getting the author's perspectives on the matter, but you're also getting your friends' perspectives. And a lot of times they do end up having different perspectives and revelations that maybe we don't have. And lastly, there's the accountability factor. I don't know about y'all, but I am not always the biggest fan of reading. So if I have to meet with some friends on a weekly basis and we have to have this many chapters read or this many pages read or whatever it may be, I am a lot more likely to actually do it if I know I'm going to be looking my friends in the face, eye to eye that day, as opposed to if I was just maybe reading on my own. Then I could decide to skip a week, and then that week might turn into a month. Another unique way that you can spend time with God and grow in your faith at the same time is to do a faith-related challenge. So I've been on this earth for a solid 24 years, give or take. And as I've gotten older, I have learned that just because you know better doesn't always mean you do better. There have been times in my life where I've identified a specific area where I felt like I needed to grow and wanted to make a positive change for the better. And I even knew on an intellectual level, like what I would have to do in order to make that change. But for whatever reason, when it came to actually doing it and putting that change into place, I was nowhere to be found. I was like, what? Change? Who is she? So the thing that I love about a good old challenge, honey, is that it really pushes you to take that next step, right? So you have to go beyond being just a reader of your Christian books. You have to go beyond being a reader of the Word of God. And it really forces you to walk it like you talk it and to become a doer, to put those things in action and to actually realize that transformation and that change that you want to see in your life. For example, a few months ago, my friends and I completed this challenge called A Better Her. Actually, child, let me not lie before the Lord. A few months ago, one of my friends completed this challenge, and the other friend and I, we put in a valiant effort, right? But that's besides the point. So basically, this was a 31-day challenge, and the goal of it was to help us grow in not only our faith, but our relationships with others and our self-care. And y'all, this was like a challenge, like for real. Like it would ask us to do stuff like, you know, give money to a charity that we chose, to identify people in our lives that we felt like we needed to forgive and to actually like have conversations with them. It asked us to go like 24 hours without sugar, to do like meal prep. Like there was some real stuff in there. And while I'm thinking about it now, I didn't actually complete it at the time because I was starting my new job and I didn't realize that like the challenges were gonna be as challenging as they were, I guess you could say. And so I just wasn't really prepared going into it. But I also think a reason why I wasn't fully committed is because a lot of those challenges were actually going to push me way out of my comfort zone. And I don't think at the time I was comfortable with being uncomfortable. Like I just did not want to push myself out there to do what it was asking me to do. And so like I kind of just gave up on it in the long run. But now that I'm thinking about it, like that's what these challenges are for. Like you don't take on a challenge like this because you want to be comfortable. Like if you're going to identify an area of your life and say, I want to challenge myself to be better, the purpose of doing it is to make yourself uncomfortable, because if you want to form a new habit, you have to become uncomfortable with the things that make you comfortable and get comfortable with the things that make you uncomfortable. So I don't know if that made sense, but I guess what I'm trying to get at is something that my pastor has been saying a lot lately, and that is that spiritual growth does not happen by accident. Like, no one stumbles into suddenly having a better prayer life, right? Like, you don't wake up one morning and just be like, oh my gosh, I have the best prayer life now, but I haven't prayed for a whole year, and suddenly I am like this amazing intercessor and I can pray for hours and hours and hours. Like, that doesn't happen to people. We have to be willing to surrender the things that make us comfortable and that we're used to, so that God can really come in, transform our thoughts, transform our habits, our behaviors, and our actions. And the only way that we can do that is by committing, even in those times when we feel like we don't want to be committed. So I know what you're probably thinking, like, wow, Danielle, you seem real hypocritical sitting over here giving us all of this advice when you know good and dang well you did not complete that challenge. And I would say, you know what? You're right. But just pretend like I'm your parent and do as I say and not as I do. Period. Let's move on. The next thing I would recommend is to listen to a Christian podcast. The thing that I really like about podcasts is that they are just incredibly personal and intimate. So you're getting to hear someone in their own voice talk about their personal experiences, talk about their testimonies, the things that they've experienced with God, the different revelations that they've had about certain scriptures or just about life in general. And I just think that there is so much wisdom to be gained from that. Even when it comes to some of foundational questions that you might have about our faith, like, you know, why does God allow bad things to happen to good people? Or like, why is there evil in the world? I'm sure that you could find tons of podcasts that really help you to unpack those answers to those questions. And again, you always want to make sure that you are going back to the Word. Like, I would say to check out what the Word of God has to say before you go to those other resources like the books and the podcast. But after you do, if you're still struggling to kind of understand like what those things mean, I think podcasts are a great way to help you kind of piece everything together. The last unique way to spend time with God is something that I haven't personally tried, but I'm very much looking forward to, and that is writing a letter to God. So I cannot take credit for this. I did steal this from someone in my small group, but I think writing letters to God is a really cool take on prayer. It's really something that is very intimate, and I think it can seem like just writing a letter to a close friend. And I mean, God is our friend, so that's exactly what it is. And the thing that I am really excited about is, you know, if you're having a bad day, you can just share your thoughts about your day with God, and you know He's going to listen. If you have prayer requests, you can write it down and share it with Him, and again, you know He's going to listen. And I know I heard somewhere that there was someone that tried a challenge. So they did a 30-day challenge of writing a letter to God every single day. And every day they ended that letter by saying, I trust you. And that person said that by doing that, it helped them grow in their faith tremendously. Like, they really began to trust that God is a God of His word, that He's a God of His promises, and that He is willing to take on our burdens, our anxieties of life. I think another great thing about being able to write letters to God is that you can actually look back on everything that you've written. You can see the prayer requests that He's answered, the things that He's brought to fruition. You can see how you've grown over time. And I just think all in all, it's super dope, and I'm very excited to try it. So that brings this video to an end. Thank you so much for joining me for part 2 of Unique Ways to Spend Time with God. If you found this video helpful whatsoever, please consider subscribing. But until next time, I will see y'all later. Bye. And then that month might turn into a year, and that book would just that book would just sit on the shelf. Oh my gosh. Oh, we gotta cut that out, man.